Okay, I show 2 o'clock by my laptop. My name is Justin Faulkner. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the Indiana Supreme Court, and I am Chair of Indiana's Interstate Compact State Council. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order and get started. I want to thank the members for attending and anyone who's tuning in and watching on the live stream. I'll start with a little bit of a personal note, agency note. Taran Blazer, who is one of our Interstate Compact staff, has left the Office of Judicial Administration. She's moved on to other endeavors, other directions. She was with OJA, I think from the time it was the Judicial Center, for about 12 years, maybe 2008 or so, working as a compact specialist for our office. She is a significant loss to our team. You'll see a couple items on the agenda today that are transition related, so our staff can discuss how her roles are shifting until we fill her vacancy. But I do want to take a personal note and mention how great she was for our office. And Taran, for some reason you're watching the live stream of the job you've left, which is weird. Thank you. Thank you from me, from all of us at OJA and on the State Council. So the first action item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes from the September 23rd meeting. Those were emailed out. April should have sent those out in advance, and they should be on your calendar invites. If any of the members have any additions, deletions, changes, we're happy to make those notes in the minutes. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Thank you, Laura. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Judge. Any discussion on the minutes from the September meeting? There's been a motion and a second. Hearing none, I'll just do all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, and I'll vote aye. So we'll show the minutes as approved for September. And the next item then is an update on the Adult Interstate Compact. We'll start with April Simmons, please, on the COVID response.
Hello. There hasn't been a significant change in how we're addressing things at the Compact office from COVID, as we talked about at last meeting. We're continuing to work with our locals. They're submitting their paperwork virtually regarding sentencing, signing, things of that nature, to have the paperwork sent back and forth. So that's still a go. The real significant thing, though, is reminding them that although your offender may be sentenced virtually, you still have to submit the paperwork in a timely manner regarding reporting instructions, because they may still be in the state that they live in and they were sentenced in Indiana. So reminding them that they need to make sure that we're getting those reporting instructions submitted as scheduled and on time. And they're doing a great job with that. So that's great. And then also, that's really the only change that we have at this time regarding how we're handling the pandemic and how we're continuing to work with them, because now there's a significant increase in COVID cases. So our agencies are starting to work remotely again. So just how we can reach out and help them and assist in that transition period of how they're continuing to work with their offenders and they're submitting their paperwork or receiving the paperwork or responding to things in a timely manner. And that's all I have for that.
Okay. Thank you. If anybody has any questions, raise your hand or unmute and shout. But otherwise, April, if you want to go ahead and talk about state compliance under the Adult Compact.
Mm-hmm. So despite COVID cases going up, in our locals working remotely, we're still meeting compliance. Actually, we're exceeding it. I just ran the reports this morning, and the threshold is 80%, but we're in the 90th percentile for meeting expectations nationally regarding getting things submitted in a timely manner, and our locals doing well with that paperwork. And that's it. Mm-hmm.
Any questions for April on that or the COVID response? Okay, thank you, April. Internal compliance, Nita. Nita, you're muted.
April and I are continuously looking for new ways to try to find ways to enhance our compliance. And so we look at the internal user accounts. That's one of the criteria that we are also audited on, those stagnant accounts. And once we're audited on those, if one user account goes unused for 90 days, it flags the state of Indiana for compliance. And what we're finding on the outside looking in, it looks as though an individual user is not supervising their cases for 90 days. So that actually looks bad, when in fact, it could just be they have a case where they don't have to necessarily report something to the sending state, because progress reports are due yearly versus quarterly. So instead of a situation where it looks like our counties aren't supervising their offenders, they just have excess of accounts. And so what we're doing now, we used to allow the counties to have as many accounts as they needed, but we're using the accounts, we're allowing them to have accounts based on their volume. So whenever we have a user that their account goes over 90 days, we automatically deactivate that account and we transfer those cases over to the main compact contact. The reason we do that is because if a county goes out of compliance, the state of Indiana automatically is out of compliance. It's, since supervision is statewide. What that does is it automatically gives us a earshot of what's happening in the field. If a county is having a problem with supervision, we can tell based upon those user accounts. If we have a lot of counties that have a lot of accounts that are going unused and they have a lot of cases, then we know that those cases may not be supervised properly. So it also gives us an idea of where we maybe need to address issues in the county. So what we started doing is we transfer those cases, and we noticed that those users can go 2 months before they even notice that their account has been deactivated and their cases have been transferred. So that signals to us that there's a problem in the county, and that's something that we can address and take care of even before there's a problem with compliance. So what we do is we allow each county to have accounts based upon the volume, which increases our productivity. It also helps improve our compliance because we don't have those accounts flagging the national office.
Anything else on that, Nita?
No.
Any questions on that, or that procedure that the office is using now? Thanks. You want to talk about training then, and then go ahead into the transition process, Nita?
Yeah. The LMS system, which is the new training platform for the juvenile trainings, which goes in conjunction with the new Unity system, is live and operating. Initially, we had 2 trainings live. We now have 8 trainings available. We are launching 2 separate platforms with this training. One platform will be for our state as a whole. All of our users will have their main platform, which will have trainings assigned to each designated user based upon their state's rollout. Our state is considered a full rollout, which means each of our counties has individual users that will be using the system. That means we have full rollout. We have a compact office, we have individual counties, and under each county's compact, we have individual field users. That's a Model 1 rollout. A Model 2 rollout is where only supervisors in the county will have access to the system. A Model 3 rollout is only the compact office has access to the system, and they enter all the cases for that state. So we will allow all of our field to have access to the system. With that being said, each rollout model will have trainings designated for their type of rollout. So we have that particular model of trainings we will have that particular model and a platform set up like that. So let's say you have users in your county, individuals in your county that supervise probationers, but will not have access to the system, but they need training on the compact. We have another platform where they can go up, have on-demand training for what is the compact. Or if you have someone who they may supervise a case and they may just need to submit a travel permit and they need to know how to implement the travel permit. They can have on-demand training without having to learn this new system. They may just need to learn the rules. So we have two systems, one that I can just know about the compact, learn about how to implement something in court, or if I'm in court, I can pull up my phone, take a quick 10-minute course or training, figure out what I need to do and keep it moving without having to learn the entire process of using this system. So that's one of the good things about the two platforms that we're rolling out. Initially, it was just going to be one platform, and the only people that had access to the system were the initial users. But we found it beneficial for those who want a refresher, but may not be consistent users of the system, or those who also work in the office of those users who may be stakeholders in the compact system. They supervise, they may be administrative assistants that help those officers that supervise those cases who may need to understand what's happening with those cases. Currently, there are 8 modules that are rolled out. 3 are mandatory for our rollout model, and 5 of those are optional. The 3 that are mandatory are how to use the system, and the 5 that are optional are about the compact. What does it mean? Why should it matter to me? What are the ramifications of not knowing about the compact? And what happens if I don't adhere to it?
Nita, who's building those trainings, or do we have the ability to do our own and put it in the LMS if we needed to?
As a state, we will be able to load our own modules on our platform. We will be able to also load, if we have information and educational materials that we want to pass out to the state, we will have a dashboard that can be included in our module, yes.
Okay.
One of the good things about Unity is we get to determine how it's catered to our state. The main operating system is the same for the entire nation, but as far as how we implement it to our state, we get to decide how that works best for us and how we cater it to us.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions on the learning management system? Okay, thanks, Nita.
Justin, I do have a comment, if that's okay.
Sure.
I appreciate that information because on our side, we do ICPC as well. And we're trying to figure out how we roll our version out of that to the state. So thank you for that information. Appreciate it.
If any one of you want to have an account, you're welcome to have an account. You are considered stakeholders because you're part of the state council. So you are welcome to have an account. They will approve you for an account where you can go in and see the system. You can take some of those trainings, and they are on demand. You can start a training, walk away, come back and start where you left off. It will track your progress. And you can also see where you fare across the state with other users. So that's the good thing about it.
Do they contact you for that account sign up, Nita? How do they do that?
You can contact me and I'll get you set up.
Anything else on that for Nita?
No.
All right, then go ahead to your transition process, please.
With Taran leaving, she was the she was the adults DCA. So we have a vacancy not only in her position but in as the DCA. So that is an appointed position. So that particular role needs to be filled as well as her compact specialist role. So those are two separate roles that need to be resolved. As far as her compact duties, April and I have tag teamed in fulfilling those duties. April has been really efficient in her juvenile role as far as the incoming specialist and her role as the incoming adult specialist. So she has taken on a chunk of Turan's cases, learning the ins and outs of what she did on a day-to-day basis and kind of assuming that role so that she can get acclimated with the nationwide contacts that we have that Turan used to know. So that she can get familiar with all of the individuals that we have dealt with over the years. She's very, very good at what she does. And we thought this was a good opportunity for her to get that experience. And a lot of what we do, you can't just necessarily sit down and say, hey, do this, do that. It comes with experience of actually doing the cases, processing the cases, having problems arise and resolving those issues. And so we have just basically, we split up her cases, but she's taken on a lot of that role. And so we will continue to do that and just pretty much keep everything in compliance. And I think we've done a good job of keeping that where it needs to be. So you won't have to worry about that.
Okay. Thanks, Nita. Anybody have any questions on adult matters, Mary Kay?
Justin, I just wanted to keep the council members updated on the status of filling that position. We've posted it. The position posting has closed, and we'll be conducting interviews for that position in the next few weeks. So hopefully we'll have a final candidate selected probably shortly after the first of the year, maybe by 1st of February.
Okay. Any other questions or issues on the adult compact side? Okay. Thanks. For the juvenile compact, Nita, are you taking all these, or April, are you going to do the COVID-19 response again?
I'm going to do the COVID-19 response again. For juvenile, again, we're still using technology to work with our locals and meeting standards. We've been encouraging departments who have been affected by COVID as a result of coming in contact with someone with it or a coworker having COVID to use technology when they do home visits. So instead, home evaluation. So instead of them actually physically going to the home, they have been utilizing Zoom, FaceTime, or technology for that. That also allows our turnaround time. Typically, we're allowed 45 days for a home evaluation. However, if we're doing it virtually, it's just a matter of the family getting the contact information from the family for their phone number, and we're able to get those home evaluations completed and conducted in an earlier time frame than the 45 days. And that'll have an earlier turnaround for our supervision to begin, and there's no gap or anything in time lag. As soon as the report gets back to the home state, then we're moving forward with that. So that's the only significant thing regarding our response to COVID is continue to work with our counties and use technology to do their home evaluations and get things moving on that end. And we're continuing to work with them and assist them in any way possible. So that's all I have for our response for that.
Okay, thank you. You want to talk about state compliance then?
Yes. Despite everyone having pandemic fatigue, they're still doing the meeting compliances with our reports. They're actually, I feel as if the pandemic has caused everybody to be hyper vigilant in getting things done, so there's no lag in time. And so we're still exceeding our compliance on this national level and state level for that. And that's all.
Thanks. Any questions for April on the state compliance or the COVID response for juvenile? Thanks. Nita?
Originally, we were having trouble with some of our field and judges. I don't want to say trouble, but there were some concerns when we have runaways that claimed abuse. Our judges were concerned about releasing those juveniles back to their home states. We have a procedure that DCS or hotline is supposed to be called in the home state, and we still have to effectuate the return of those juveniles. But our judges were concerned about returning them. The rules state that regardless of the abuse, we have to return them to that state as long as we make the necessary reporting. We don't get to make the decision on where they go to. That's their home state's decision, whom and who and to whom they go to. We just have to effectuate the return. So there was a little bit of concern about some of the judges signing the Form 3s to return those children. But once we've kind of streamlined that process and they understood that they do have the ability to help make things easier for those juveniles by reaching out and making that hotline call, and they did see that there were services set up for those juveniles, things have gotten a lot better. And we have made a lot of connections with some of those DCS officials. Some of our law enforcement have joined on, and we're all starting to get on the same page, and things are running a lot smoother. And everyone's understanding we're all in this together. We all have the same goal. And I think that everyone was compelled by their hearts to see good things happen to these children. And so everything is starting to look up with the runaways, which I was troubled by. Some of them staying in detention a little bit longer than necessary, but everything is really starting to roll smoothly as long as they know they have those options. And so one of the things that we started doing is immediately when we find out that a juvenile is being detained, that's the first thing I ask: have they professed that there's any abuse? And if so, here's the state's hotline for their state. Instead of necessarily making the call in our state, call their state's hotline first. Because sometimes they call our states and start a case here, and it slows up their process of the transition of them going back home. And so when they know that we take it seriously and that there's a process in place, they're more likely to follow the interstate procedures, and everything runs a lot smoothly. So that's a plus.
Is that something that we have some sort of, training material or something that we've distributed? I don't know if that would be useful, Judge Kenworthy, if you think it would. We can send that out from court services or from our office if we need to lay that out a little clearer. It might save some phone calls into Nita's shop first.
I think the Interstate Compact is often an area that judges don't have a great deal of information on. So I think the more information we have, the better.
There is a trifold brochure on the national website. There's also what you call a judge's cheat sheet or bench card that I try to, when we do the trainings in the counties, we always offer the information to the probation officers. And when we do the annual judges conference, we often try to offer that information. So I will try and make sure that we get that information out. Maybe we can send out maybe a mass email with a link to that bench card. And it just says what to do. It's kind of like a step-by-step, a quick cheat sheet on who to call. I mean, just making that hotline call, and often just explaining to that juvenile what's happening to them. Most of the time they're explaining their rights, but more than just explaining them their rights, just saying, I understand your abuse or what you're saying is happening to you. I'm going to get you that help, but I'm going to get you that help in your state. I'm going to help you, but I can't help you here because I don't have that jurisdiction here, but I do have the power to help you connect in your own state. And they need to understand that. And we're all starting to get on that same page, and it's made a wonderful difference. Things are moving a lot better. So we have fewer hiccups. So we've been returning juveniles faster than we ever have.
Okay. I mean, we
Nita,
can.
I have a question. Do we know,
ahead.
since the pandemic, do we have that stat yet? Do we have more kids fleeing runaway into our state or out as a result of abuse and neglect right now? Is that why it's becoming more of an issue? Because we're seeing more cases?
The reason that they are out of the states is not necessarily because of abuse. I think I see a lot more of being trafficked or in relationships, inappropriate relationships. And when they have to go back home, they profess abuse. So it's not necessarily that they are being abused. The ones coming in are usually kids being kids, just doing kid things, inappropriate behaviors. But if I were to say the amount of cases that there's actual abuse, it's very low. That are actual true abuse cases is very low. Some of them, they use the abuse card when they want to have their way. But those true abusers usually don't profess abuse. That's the funny thing about it. The ones that are really being abused don't profess it initially. Usually there's signs of abuse, and then those who handle the juveniles see some of the signs and start to prod and get those answers. But the ones that usually say it's abuse are usually the ones that are just using that as the scapegoat, if that makes any sense. The most of the ones that we've received here since COVID, they are just probably.
Well, Nita has left the chat. Maybe she'll come back. While she's gone, Mary Kay, you and I can talk after this, figure out the best route and what training maybe we can get sent out materials wise. And then, Don, if there's something you think, if there's a DCS connection that we can get that out to as well, that might be good.
I agree. And I think getting the information to the other stakeholders too, it's particularly helpful when prosecutors are familiar with this, because sometimes that's a group that isn't always up to speed on what the requirements are. So we can maybe check in with IPAC and distribute some information that would be relevant to the prosecutor side of things.
Yeah, I think if we can do something jointly, because there is 2 different interstate compacts, that would be extremely beneficial to the judges as well, understanding the differences.
Okay. Nita was responsible for the next 3 items on the agenda. Oh, wait, she's connecting to audio. Nita, can you hear me? Nita, you're back. Thank goodness we were about to shut down the whole meeting. Maybe she still can't hear me. Can you hear me, Nita? Okay, let's give Nita a little bit of chance to get settled, unless you can hear me right now. And Mary Kay, do you want to go ahead? We'll skip ahead, if that's okay, to the NCIC access letter.
Sure, thank you, Justin. At our last meeting, we had a discussion about submitting a request to the state police for the purpose of the Office of Court Services gaining access to NCIC for warrant compliance. I'm going to turn it over to Jenny Bauer because there was Jenny and a couple others had some conversations and have drafted a letter for the council's review today. Jenny.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I met with Michelle Goodman from our office and then Dan Miller from IPAC to kind of talk about what we thought would be good to include in the letter. We had some really helpful information that I think his name is Lieutenant Carmen from the Indiana State Police that he sent to Mary Kay. So we basically try to follow the tips that Lieutenant Carmen had in his email. We also actually had some, I had reached out to the national office. They had tried to get NCIC access and were denied, but they had been sent I told Mary Kay earlier, it looked like it was a typewritten, they called it was it a practice, planning instructions from like 1976, but they still applied. So we tried to also include some language from that document. And, for good measure, try to make sure that we highlighted, that this is for public safety and offender accountability. And then Laura Berry, to tick off your box, we also included victim rights. I think those are all things that they want to hear about when they're, I hope they want to hear about when they're looking at an application. So we'll see what happens. It's the tricky part is whether or not we're going to fall into the criminal justice agency category. I tried to write this so that it would be obvious that we do, but we'll see if DOJ agrees with us. So I think the big thing now, Mary Kay and Justin, is maybe figure out who we want. Number one, if we want to make some adjustments to the letter, and number two, who should be the signatories.
You've sent this out to everyone. When's your timeline to send it back if anyone has an edit or a correction? I mean, I think as chair, I can certainly sign it. I think we've done that in the past. That would be appropriate. So.
Yeah, I'm on vacation next week, but I'll take any feedback. I don't know that we have a hard deadline to get the letter in, but I think if we could try to get it in before, maybe early in 2021. So in the next couple of weeks.
And Justin, for your and the whole council's consideration, whether or not there's any merit to having other members of the council sign off on the letter in addition to you as chair, just to demonstrate the other membership of the council, specifically for the groups that Jenny mentioned with sheriffs and IPAC and victim services and those kinds of things. I think that might be helpful if others are willing to sign off on the letter.
I think that's true, that some of them in particular would be particularly influential, but I don't know particularly the other government agencies, if there's some issue you see, if you wouldn't, I mean, I'm fine signing it alone as chair. I think that carries enough to make it official. I don't know that I want to put half the members on and not the others for some reason. So I suppose if you want to take a look at it, the membership, and if you could send any feedback by maybe next Friday, if that's not too soon, we can always have Jenny cancel her vacation and come back. And if you would, when you send your feedback back, let us know if there's any issues or if you're willing or able to sign it in your capacity as a member of the commission or of the council. And if we don't have everybody, then I think my inclination is just to have me do it, so it doesn't look like someone is opposed somehow. Any issues or questions about the letter immediately?
You can either email it to me or send it to Mary Kay and she can get it to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Nita,
everyone.
You bailed on us there for a second. We held off. It was tough. It was touch and go. Mary Kay really wanted to jump in on your portion of the agenda, but we'll go ahead and get back to you if you want to start on the training for the juvenile.
Can you hear me? Do I have volume? On the juvenile side, most of the state is trained on the 2 modules that were released for our rollout version 1. The 3rd module will be released within the next couple of weeks. We are moving forward as though we were rolling out for December. We hope to have everyone trained. Even with COVID, it's been difficult to get everyone on the same page for the training, but people are doing very well with getting them in. We have a lot of counties out with COVID on restrictions, but they are doing very well getting trained on their free time. One of the good things about this platform is that it's agnostic and you can use it on your tablet, phone, computer, any type of browser. And it's also the short burst training. It's not 2 or 3 hour trainings. They are 15 minutes, 10 minutes. So that fits into a lot of different schedules. So with that being said, they've been doing really good at getting trained. Starting and stopping, that's not a problem. Getting the modules released, they are moving ahead, but with the launch not until February, I think some of our state is feeling a little bit more relaxed and pushing through. I think I'm pushing it a little bit harder because I want us to be ready. We will be ready, but I was still pushing as though we were rolling out in December. But I understand. So we're doing really good. We have 215 users at the present time. I'm looking forward to adding those users who may not process cases, but are wanting to learn. That will expand our training base for those who can spread the word to those in their office, help train others in their office. The way that COVID has changed the way we do business. I'm seeing in the future, a lot of trainings may be virtual. The type of platform that the trainings are set up, they are pretty much self-explanatory. You take the training on your own. You don't have to have an instructor-led training. They are read to you, and there's short quizzes at the end that test your knowledge. In order to move on to the next module, you have to pass with an 80% or greater. And until you do that, you can take the course over, which is not a long course. Again, they're only like 10 or 15 minutes long. So the concept behind that is to make sure you have the basic understanding. And if you have the basic understanding, then you will not only follow the rules, you will implement the rules, follow the rules, and remain in compliance. And that's the goal of this type of training. And so we are progressing. We are really progressing, even though I like to see it move faster.
Nita, did you give them a hard deadline other than knowing that it's going to roll out in February? Nita, can you hear me? Can everyone else hear me? Nita, did you give them a deadline other than the rollout in February to be completed with the training?
Okay.
Well, this is a challenge. You may need to turn your volume up, Nita. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Can everyone else hear me okay? Okay.
Justin, can you repeat your question and I will send it through the chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I just did that, Justin.
Okay.
See if she responds.
It's good television.
Actually, I think I'm going to text her. I think I've got Nita in my phone.
Okay, hey, Jenny, when you do, go ahead. I mean, that was my question, was whether or not there's a deadline that we'd given counties that's not being, adhered to or something, but otherwise she can go ahead and go on to the Unity update and transition update as well. I'm gonna write on a Post-it note and hold it up to the camera.
I tried that yesterday in court, Justin, and mine came up backward, the mirror image, and so that didn't work either.
Oh no. Okay, well, I think we're gonna looks like we may lose Nita if she follows April's directions in the chat. So Mary Kay, then the next topic was other business, and without Senator Sandlin, I believe you had a legislative topic.
Yes, we do. Earlier, well, actually last year in the 2020 session, Senator Sandlin authored a bill at the request of the council to amend the county transportation fund that would actually allow more agencies than just the probation department to access the transportation expenses associated with bringing people back or extradition from other states. So it's really probably more of a technical change that we requested last year. Unfortunately, it didn't make it through the session last year, not because of any controversy. I think it's just, it was a busy session and it didn't get a hearing on the right committee. Senator Sandlin has agreed to reauthor that. You have a copy of that bill from the 2020 language. It will be the same language, and he is going to be filing that. Just wanted to let you all know in case you receive any questions from anyone, but that hopefully will move through this time.
And you sent that around, or April, you sent that around? Okay.
It's attached to the meeting materials, yes.
Okay. April Simmons, I don't know if you're able to give the Unity update or a transition update at all on the juvenile side. If not, we may just have to leave those, and I can ask Jenny or April Debris to send that out as an update to the membership afterwards.
I don't have the information from Nita, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Okay, the next item then is the 2021 meeting schedule. What's on your agenda is 4 proposed dates. I suppose if anyone has any outright objections right now, you can go ahead and let us know. Otherwise, if you wouldn't mind checking those on your calendar and letting myself or let April know if any of them are absolute deal breakers. If we have a bunch of them that fall on a bad day, we'll move it. But right now, I think that's what we're going to plan on for 2021. And once we hear from some folks, we'll go ahead and get those out and get them sent out as calendar invites for you. So if anybody has anything immediate on those dates, let me know. Other than that, oh wait, Nita is back. Hang on. Nita, can you hear me?
Yes.
Haha, I knew it. Science is great. All right, can you go ahead with the Unity update then, please?
I'm complete.
Or what'd you say?
I'm complete.
The Unity update?
Is complete.
Oh, well, there. All right. I am billing for those 0.4 that we waited on that information. Anything else on the transition from Turan for the juvenile side of it, Nita?
It's the same as the adult. We are just pretty much tag teaming on the cases, just working through those with the field, adjusting the field to the transition.
Okay. Oh, yes, thank you. April just sent in the chat a reminder that I had a pending question. Did you give the counties or your users any deadline on the new LMS training? Other than the fact that it rolls out in February?
Yes, even though they were not originally aware that it rolled out in February, they were under the assumption that it rolled out in December. Initially, everybody was supposed to be prepared for December the 1st. So they were supposed to have any type of training that was released in the modules completed. So if anyone has not completed their training, they are behind. But considering that it is rolling out in February, everyone is ahead. So I didn't tell them that it was rolling out in February until the last minute. So they are now aware that it's rolling out in February. So we are looking very well. Even though we were rolling out in February, before the end of December, any training modules that are released, we will have completed. I put that timeline on our state. And everyone is in conjunction with getting that done. Because once they're very excited about the system. I think there was hesitation when they heard training and a new system, and I have so much going on in COVID. But as they started training and they saw the system and they started getting excited, they're pretty anxious about it. And they often say, "Can we get rid of JIDs now?" So they're starting to grab hold of it.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions about that? The new LMS for the juvenile system, for juvenile compact? Okay. Anything else on the agenda? Any other business that anyone wanted to raise that we might have glossed over as we bounced around? Okay.
Justin, can I just raise one thing, just a heads up and FYI for the council, please?
Yes.
2021 is a rule amendment year for both the juvenile and the adult side on the national side. So probably at maybe the March, probably more likely the June meeting, we will be presenting the 2021 rule amendments on both adult and juvenile for this group's review and feedback. I happen to be chair of the Adult Rules Committee, and I'm a member of the Juvenile Rules Committee. So I can tell you that there are going to be some things coming through. On the adult side, it's likely going to be related to the time in which states have to issue warrants. On the juvenile side, they're doing a comprehensive review of all of the rules. So there may be a fair number of things that this group is asked to review. So just wanted to let everybody know that that's coming. Thank you.
Okay. Any other business from anyone? Okay, thank you. Again, take a look at the calendar dates for next year. If you have any issues, let us know. If you wouldn't mind taking a look at that NCIC letter, sending Jenny your edits by next Friday, that would be great. And if you are interested in an account for the LMS system and checking out some of those trainings, please reach out to Nita, maybe not by Zoom, maybe send an email. If nothing else, then I hope everybody has a happy holidays, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion, and I think under Robert's rules, that's all we need is the motion, or we'll take a second, I suppose. I don't know. You know what? Happy holidays. We're adjourned.
Bye, everyone.